Good afternoon. I think it's not morning anymore. Good afternoon to everyone. I was, when they've asked me to come and do the closing remark, I was telling Letty, what do you want me to talk about? And then we had a brief exchange, and then she said, no, I think it was him. He said, but you can just say what you've just told us, and that will be enough for the closing remark. And this morning I asked him, what did I say? Because I couldn't remember what I said last time. Okay. So, but that tells you that I might be young in spirit, but not in reality. That's probably what I couldn't remember. But anyway, having said this, I want to thank you all for being here. Thank the youth from the 20 or 25 countries that have joined the Tana Forum, the Trust Africa, the Africa Union, and hosted by the government of Senegal. I think it's all about your generosity, because when you come to exchange with your colleagues and youth partners, it's all about generosity. Because if you don't have that feeling to share, you wouldn't be here. You will stay home and then do your own thing. And youth is all about that. And I think I've heard yesterday in the opening remarks, many of you saying few things like, many things like, the future is not something we enter, it's something we create. And it's true. You have to create things. You can't just sit and then say we're waiting for the government to tell us, or we're waiting to take over. Being in Senegal, as I mentioned yesterday to the media, it's quite a symbol, because the Senegalese have proven that through democracy and freedom of speech, freedom of action, that they can make changes, and the changes they want, the changes the population want, the changes the majority that you are, because youth are representing the majority. So if you are the majority, you can change things by coming and then expressing yourself. And that's what was done in Senegal. And then I think we must take this opportunity to congratulate the whole of Senegal, the country, the government, for that, what they've achieved and what they've shown to all of us in Africa, as an example of changing things without going through the difficulties that I'm saying this without entering the politics of Senegal, but I'm just talking about the reality of what we've seen. So let me share this, because otherwise I could be quoted as saying that I like such and such, but that's not what about it. I'm just pointing the fact. And then I think we should all congratulate this country for what they've shown. So one thing that I want to mention as well is, we talk about youth. Older men like us are the one who create war, but you guys are the one who fight, and eventually find yourself, dying. That's what we're seeing right now in Burkina Faso, in the Sahel region. And but often people tell me, but you were the last prime minister before the coup. And then how do you feel? The good thing is that I still go to Burkina Faso. I'm not in exile. I just came from Burkina Faso. And I think I can still talk, exchange, because that's all about tolerance as well. It's all about tolerance. It's also all about the fact that I didn't get involved in the basic politics. I've stayed out of it. And then serving the international community for some time, and then came to share my experience, and then to try and build reconciliation, because that was one of the motto that let me choose that specific moment to come to government. And then unfortunately, as many people say, I came too late because the situation was bad already. But let's hope that with the youth that you are, and those of Burkina Faso, that will be able to reshape things in a way where we come together to live together and then make the difference that this continent needs, not only the Sahel region, but all of us. And then it's in that respect that I was saying that Senegal is showing an example that we should all follow. And that's something that we should be generous enough to tell them, to tell the Senegalese, because if you don't talk about it, people do things. They can feel great about it, but when they hear it from you guys, it makes them feel different, and then continue in that dynamic. I think it's important to say this as well. So now, when you say, quelle est la prochaine étape? Mettre en phase les États africains et la jeunesse. Est-ce que vous êtes en phase après ces 2 jours de session? C'est la question que j'ai envie de poser aux uns et aux autres. You don't have to put it because I'll come back to English immediately. So it was just the French I'm talking, I think you can get it without going to the translator. So, est-ce que vous êtes en phase après un jour et demi de discussion? Et pour moi, I don't think it's about aligning ourselves with the government. It's aligning the government with what the youth want. That's basically how I see it. It's not about the government deciding, but it's you telling them what you want and how you want to be shaped and how you want the country or the issues to be shaped. And that's basically what the Senegalese have said. But having said this, the responsibility that comes with youth in taking charge goes also with how you shape yourself in responding to those who have brought you to power. And that's what will make the difference. It's like God giving you something in your hand and then you hold it only with one hand. They often say, the elder people will tell you, when God gives you something, you have to take your two hands and then keep it because it's so precious. So the power that the population puts in your hand is as precious as that. And you have to make sure you hold it tight, you hold it well, and you're responsible, as Dr. Ibrahim just said now, because youth come with responsibility. And responsibility is one that will dictate the way you shape and deal with perception, because we live in the world of perception. We live in the world of perception, and that's why things are so different from one country to another. And even in the same country, even in that same room, you've been exchanging for a day and a half, and I'm sure you brought different thoughts. And those thoughts are what you need. And those thoughts are part of the generosity that I was mentioning. And it's that generosity that will make the difference among you guys. But I was also glad to hear that you've set up a steering committee to follow up what you've discussed. And that's important. I've been in so many meetings and so many conferences, and then after the conference, it's over. But what you guys have to do is to exchange contacts. And beyond the steering committee is to be able to reflect on what you've discussed and then propose action plan that are beyond what was set up by an institutional framework that is the African Union and any other, and then come with innovation, technology, and new thoughts. Because science is all proven, and that's the reality. What makes a difference is innovation and it's technology. So the innovation comes from you because you're young, you have new ideas that are certainly newer than what we have, unless we stay young by being with you, because that's why I like being where the young people are, because it makes me feel young and it keeps me young. And I want to use an example. I set up the CTBTO youth group many years ago. That was the first youth group in the non-proliferation and disarmament framework. When I set it up, people ask me, what is young for you, Dr. ZERBO? I say, young, it's anything below 35. And that's what I said. And then people start working. And then when they reach 35, they tell me, but Dr. ZERBO, I want to continue because I still feel young. And some of them are 40, 45, and continuing being part of the CTBTO youth group. So youth, it's in your mind. If you feel young, you're young. When I hear our colleagues from South Africa, it reminds me of my time in South Africa. I was the first black African manager in Anglo-American South Africa post-apartheid. When I came from the United States to work in Anglo-American 45 Main Street. So I remember when I came there, and they were still painting white only, because they were putting the painting on it, and then I was shocked to see this. This is something that I've seen for myself. As a young scientist at the time, I was wondering what I was doing there. But it's because I've traveled the world. I was in Zambia, I was in South Africa, Southern Africa, West Africa. And that's probably what brings, or we can talk about the experience that Ibrahim Fall is talking about. What you have is not what you learn at school. What you have, it's the opportunity that God gives you to meet people who are brighter than you, who are better than you, who sometimes not as good as you, but it's that mix and that merge that will shape the social or emotional intelligence that you need to help your government to make a difference. And if you do that, you do it with responsibility. And responsibility is important. Because sometimes, and I was talking to Ibrahim about it, I say, you know, our problem in Africa is because we seem to be, I wouldn't say young, but we seem to be keeping the childhood on our mind forever. Because our culture makes it that you're always a younger brother of somebody. And I'm probably at the age where I should be grandpa, but people will still call me Petit Sina, the small sinner, because those are older than I am. And when they do this, if you don't step back a little bit to say, that's in a specific register, they will make you feel as if you are still the child that they've known for 50 years. And that's what we should get a little bit over, and then help ourselves with responsibility, decision, education, you know, generosity, exchange, good feelings, positive energy, to try and do what this continent needs, connection. And yesterday I had coordination. Whatever you do, if you don't coordinate with other youth institution or institutional framework, you will not be able to make a difference. And somebody said yesterday, alone you can go, but together we can go far. So if you want to go far, let's connect. And Ibrahim has mentioned about connecting the dots. The dots are not only connected because we're here, but we connect the dots about the issue that we're dealing with. And the issues are many, many, from south to north, from west to east. There's so many issues in the continent that you should get involved. And getting involved is also reaching out to those who are not aware of about what you're doing here. And this discussion today shouldn't stay among only the 20 or 25 countries that are represented. You should share the resolution with all others in the continent, and then link it up with other youth fora that exists, whether it's the United States framework, the United Nations framework, and any other framework where you can connect and listen to them and then see how what you do can help shape what they're doing for the planet. I've seen many youth institutions. I was at the COP28. I'm seeing some. You go to Rwanda. I was talking to somebody this morning because he said he was part of a youth leadership program in Dakar. So I asked him if he knew about this discussion. He said no. I said, can you send me what you guys were discussing so that I see how I can link you up? And I was talking to you the other day. I said, do you know your fellow Nigerian? He's a young bright guy who is working in non-proliferation. He's 33, and he's campaigning to become the special envoy for security, peace, and non-proliferation for Nigeria. He decided to create this position within his country to shape non-proliferation disarmament within Africa. So he asked me to help him in his campaign. He sent me a brochure that I was sharing with you. And then I was telling him, why don't you guys connect? Can you imagine? He's doing this at the level of the ministry or the presidency. And then even in Nigeria, some of the young people are not aware. So let's connect the dots. Let's share what we have. Let's talk about what we do. And let's connect peace and security with the issues of our time. Energy, energy, energy. Because climate change and energy are what will shape the future of this continent. If the effect of climate change brings an energy crisis, we will never have peace, we'll never have security. So involve yourself in the issue of energy. If I ask many of you, do you know that in 5 or 10 years, you will not need to charge your phone? You probably don't know this. In Portugal, at the Creative Science Park, they're innovating in making energy cell that will fire up your phone or any of your smaller electronic item forever. You buy them for 5 years, you use them, and then that's it. And that's where the future of energy is going. And as you know, with nuclear energy, we're moving from the traditional nuclear power plant to containerizing nuclear power plant into a 40-foot container. But if you guys don't follow, and then it's done in the West, coming in the global South, will still be at the end. So we have to be part of all those endeavors that are happening in this world so that we can shape the world the way we want, the way we feel safer in it, we feel secure in it. Because the world is not done for us. And sometimes I joke about when my kids want to take a selfie or picture, and then I tell them, you know, we didn't make the camera, so I'm too dark, you won't see me. So if you want me to appear well in the camera, you have to manufacture your camera to fit the dark skin. So I'm saying this to joke, but you know, it's just an indication that if you want something to suit you, you try to do yourself because you think about your own problem and then you shape the solution to your like. And let's make sure in Africa we shape our solution to what fits what we need for this continent and what makes us great, because we have to make Africa great again. Thank you so much.